Hey everybody, it's time for our Final Fantasy 15 spoiler discussion. So there's gonna be spoilers for me,
Oh, I'm so
for him.
excited for this.
Hey man, who are you?
Hey, I'm Mike One Way Spanish,
Hey,
and
Mike.
I love Final Fantasy 15. Who are
Yeah,
you?
You beat it. My name's Ryan Ruggner Marshall. I beat that shit too. I beat it every goddamn night. But I also beat Final Fantasy 15. Heyo, masturbation joke.
I got it.
30 seconds in. Yeah, we beat it.
We did.
What do you want to talk about?
How did you like it? Was it okay?
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was great.
Let me ask you a question.
All right.
Who is your favorite character?
Well, since they based him solely on me, it is Prompto. He is basically me in the game. He's a photographer. I can do photography, but I also do videography. And he's the wisecracker. He's the wisecracker, and he's kind of the rogue type. So he's got the gun, he's got the Bioblast Plus, or maybe the Circular Saw Plus, or maybe the Auto Crossbow Plus, depending on how the fuck you play. Unless you're our EP, he didn't even know those other guns existed. And
I'm surprised.
You know, truthfully, I actually liked him a lot because I loved. He was kind of like the naive kind of like the one that was like, we need to stay together, like we're friends. Like he was always like the one that was like the lifeblood. You know, there was times when Gladio. I mean, there's a whole time when Gladio and fucking Noctis are fighting because you know Ignis, he gets his eyes taken away from him in a fight, and you know he's basically Gladio is just saying like Noctis, like you know you got to be better than this. Like you're not the leader that we want. It's just like kind of back and forth,
right.
and I feel like Prompto the whole time throughout the beginning and throughout the end is always just trying to like be the best version of himself that he can for the other guys, on top of like trying to keep everybody together. He's even a bit of a MacGuffin for you know one of the later dungeons.
MacGuffin.
Gotta bring a MacGuffin into it. Plus that hair, man. Plus he's always taking fucking selfies, dude. I gotta say, I was impressed with the AI of the photos taken for the most part. Besides like the obvious, like we're taking a photo, there were some pretty cool fucking photos that he takes.
Yeah, I really like the photos of like the battle photos and stuff. And you get like a really cool like the boss is like charging up an attack or something, and you're like warping in, and there's the game does a good job capturing some really cool like combat moments.
Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's like a picture of Noctis looking at a cactus. While,
yeah,
like,
sometimes
his arm is like clipping through an enemy.
yeah, sometimes it's terrible.
I just like him a lot.
Of the main characters, Prompto's my favorite, and he's my favorite because he is I almost said a Garlean, but that's Final Fantasy 14. Whatever the Imperials are, whatever like wherever they're from.
Yeah, he's the
yeah, I can't remember.
He's an Imperial. Yes, he's an Imperial.
But he's and they didn't know that until you don't find that out until that last dungeon and in chapter 13 or whatever it was, and I thought that was really cool. Just kind of I don't know, just the way his character progressed, and like you said, he's trying to keep people together, and I think that all plays into him being an outsider and just trying to fit in, and I don't know.
Can you bring that pick back up? Look at that. Look at them with the regalia, dude.
Ugh.
Just studs.
Good.
Look at that. Look at Gladio's like 12-pack. Dude, that. All right, no shit. Wait, that's the bouncer. Like the four of them is like remember the bouncer for PS2, also Square Enix game.
Yeah.
Gladio is a part of that fucking team. Anyway.
Anyways, but my favorite non-main story character is Cid.
Cid, old.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that timing.
I see.
Dude, hold that dude up. He is just like the old grizzled.
Well, and he knew the king.
Yeah.
Back in the day, and like he has a cool story of like having a falling out with the king and used to be best friends, and the king had to go be a king, and so he couldn't hang out with this commoner anymore, and I don't know. I don't know what it is. Those are my favorites.
No, he's awesome. I really liked, besides Prompto, I would say probably Arden. I mean, it's almost like it's easy to pick him, but I just think he was way more complicated than the game initially leads you to believe. Like, he seems at first like, oh, this is just a fucking, this is the bad guy, right? But then you kind of come to find out, which we're definitely going to talk about a little bit later, kind of what he's doing, why he's there, like his... it's not just, hey, I'm evil. It's like there's a lot of shit that dude's been through some shit.
Yeah.
I mean, he's immortal in a sense,
thousands of years,
and like he's he's been through it, and it's just like I don't know. I like villains that are like not so cut and dry. You know, there's like the villain that's like, I'm a villain because I'm a villain. Then there's a villain that's like, you almost like, like Loki. You know, everybody always loves him in the Marvel Universe because like, there are times you kind of feel for him and you like, kind of get like, all right, I kind of see why he's pissed off. And like, that's kind of where I felt with Arden. It's like, he was fucked over. Like, hard.
Yeah, well, no. He brought it on himself, though. He made the decision to choose power and, screw everybody else sort of for it instead of sort of follow.
Well, he was like, so all right, so he gets his power, right? And he's a lot like Luna where he can heal people, and then when he goes to the gods and he's like, I did this, I healed everybody, they're basically like, fuck you, you're not worthy. And so then like they like shun him. And like he basically spends the rest of his eternity being bitter and like and then because he was Ifrit's plague. Ifrit causes a plague on the world. He cures it, and then it's like shunned. And so like he spends the rest of his days like not being able to die, being immortal, and like what do you do? What do you do at this point? And like he kind of spends the whole game, or I'm sorry, his whole life up until he meets Noctis, trying to find an end to this, and Noctis is his end. It's actually really a lot, from what I understand, it's really similar to like the Matrix, where it's like they kind of cancel each other out. Like Agent Smith and Neo, the only way to truly end the war was like they both needed to, like Neo needed to let Agent Smith kill him, and when he did, that made Agent Smith obsolete. And that's sort of kind of what I got. I mean, I might be a little off base, but it seems kind of what I got from this. It's like Arden kind of needed to let Noctis essentially beat him, and when he did, like, kind of Noctis died. That was kind of Arden's purpose, and then everybody went down.
Oh, but he didn't let him beat him. I mean,
well, he needed to make sure he was powerful enough. Yeah, I mean, he was like making sure he was getting powerful enough.
Right. He did have to. Yeah, but it was sort of a. I didn't get the impression that he wanted, like he did want someone powerful enough to come along to actually have the power to kill him and to end his suffering. But he also didn't seem to have any problem killing Noctis. And because if he had killed Noctis, it would have been it. Like, well, he could have destroyed the world.
He was still bitter. Like, I mean, like that's why,
right.
After, so we should back up a little bit so we can explain a little bit better. So, obviously, you play the game, and everything, the whole point of the game in the beginning is you're trying to go wed Lady Lunafreya, and obviously things go awry on top of that happening, or before that happens. But what we're literally referring to is, you get to a point, like, much later in the game, and we're probably going to bounce back. We're not going to talk about this chronologically, but you get to a point in the game where, you finally get back to the crystal, which the crystal is what your home of insomnia, like your Noctis, your father's King Regis, like your bloodline of kings, protect this magical crystal that's like has like all this like force and life force in it that's tied deeply to the gods. Arden and the Empire steal it, but really Arden just wanted it for himself. That's an awesome picture. That is such an awesome picture.
That is cool.
Arden wants the crystal. You play this whole game. You do all this shit. You go through the, and then you try to you need to basically bond with the crystal. And when you do, you talk to Bahamut, which is one of the most famous summonings and characters in all of Final Fantasy lore. And he's basically kind of like what I understood, sort of like kind of the speaker for the gods in a lot of ways. And, so then you bond with it and they're basically like, here's your task. You need to kill this motherfucker because he's ruining the world. And when you finally get back to the world, it's actually 10 years later. The whole world is covered in darkness. There's demons everywhere. And that's all Arden's doing. Arden was so, from what I understand, again, this is just my understanding and our EPs since we kind of talked about it. My understanding was that Arden was bitter from the gods and wanted to destroy the earth, but at the same time wanted to die. And so he did what he needed to do over those 10 years, shrouding the world in darkness, having demons everywhere, which he basically, I mean, those demons, they were experimenting on those demons, and that's a lot of what the Empire was was like it experimented on dudes that were like using demons to sort of like create this army, sort of like the clones from Star Wars, but using a demon instead of a Jango Fett.
It was almost like reminiscent of Resident Evil in a way, where like if it had gotten out of control or whatever, if Arden hadn't been immortal, like it got out of control and took him over, like or something crazy like that. So
you go back to the world, you meet up with your dudes 10 years later, and you basically go and you fight Arden. I mean, that's the whole point. And then he summons Ifrit, who again caused the plague in the first place that Arden even initially cured, and then Ifrit like respected him. That's why he's like sort of Arden summoning. You have Bahamut. There's just that whole end fucking battle is insane. I mean, you have summonings flying all over the place. You get Shiva get in there.
That was cool.
Giving a little ice kiss to Ifrit. Yeah,
that was such a cool twist too. I felt like
so
Deltiana
cool.
was Shiva.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Like the sort of like your mystical friend the entire time ends up being Shiva, and the girl that sort of has Umbral, which is the dog that can time travel. That's basically connecting you and Lady Lunafreya. You're basically passing along a journal since you can't see each other. Like throughout the game, every once in a while you'll meet this dog Umbral, and you basically are like writing notes to each other in this journal that's like pass between you two, which I thought was like kind of a cool touch. Like that was It was cool. A way to connect the two characters without ever having to see them on screen, because like that's tough to do. Like you're trying to sell like this like love story. Granted, it's like sort of an arranged political marriage between Noctis and Lunafreya. They do. I mean, they've known each other.
But they care about each other. It's not.
Yeah, they care about each other. And it's like that's hard to sell to somebody that never sees them much on screen together. So you have this book, and you have like some of these flashbacks, and then of course when you're fighting Leviathan, you have like the big, finally meeting up, and she like powers you into fucking Super Saiyan mode and lets you essentially take down.
That was cool.
Yeah,
that was fun.
That's super cool.
Oh, question: did you make Leviathan happy, or did you piss him off in your like weird conversation that you can't understand what he's saying?
I don't know.
I pissed him off. I'm just curious how the fight went.
Make him happy?
I don't know. You can either piss him off, or I assume like please him. Either way, I assume you have to fight him.
Because I had to fight him.
Yeah, I fought him. I assume either way you piss him off. It just said that Leviathan becomes stronger.
Oh, really?
So I wonder if he just
I didn't even notice that.
I'm not sure.
All I know is he was not happy with me, and I had to beat his ass in Super Saiyan mode with like all my royal weapons fucking flying around, and I was like cool fucking dodging like Noctis dodge, and he was like, "Fuck, man, get over here," and I was like, "I'm gonna royal weapon you in the dick," and it was really cool.
It was a lot of fun. It was a fun fight.
That's a better way to say it. It was a lot of fun. But going back to what I said, just kind of rounding it back around, so you finally get to the big boss battle. You have all the summonings going on. You essentially beat Arden, but like you basically kill each other. And you're like in that afterlife, and you're like in that afterlife. I don't know if that's what it really is. Maybe you're actually inside the crystal, I think. But it's like, you see you and Arden sort of floating there, and you summon like the spirits of your royal line, and you all like fuck Arden's day up.
That's after you call them to your aid. So he kills Arden, and Arden's dead. In the mortal world, Arden's dead, but now he's in the spirit world or in the crystal or whatever, so he can come back. He's immortal. He can't just be killed so easily. I mean, and like you said, he knew the whole time. Noctis knew that he would have to sacrifice himself.
Right.
To kill Arden.
Right.
Arden flat out told him, the only way you can stop me is, Arden, Bahamut told him that.
Bahamut, yeah.
Or Bahamut, as you so eloquently put it. He knew he had to, Harry Potter, Matrix, whatever, however you want to, whatever movie story you want to talk about.
He's just airshipping it. That's if you're paying attention. He's just been airshipping it.
I keep getting distracted too because it's so cool.
No one can see anything. He's just airshipping it in the pitch black. So this is Final Fantasy, guys.
Hey, hope you're enjoying it. Why don't you crash and give him something to see?
There you go. Oh shit! Anyways.
Okay. So he knows this happened. So he goes up to the throne, and he asks the kings to give him their power.
Yeah.
And like he even has to like convince his dad. Oh, he's dead.
Yep, that's okay.
That's what I did the very first time I got the plane and tried to land. I crashed immediately.
I've crashed one time, and it was because I was forced to crash. I don't know how you guys crash all the time.
So, anyways, he gets their power. So I mean, Arden and him have a fight that goes the distance, but Arden doesn't kill him. He sacrifices himself.
I didn't.
And that's,
that's what I meant.
And I feel like that's important though, because he could have chose to be selfish and not sacrifice himself. He could have made the same choice as Arden.
Yeah. And it's like a really epic scene. Like you beat Arden, you like walk up the steps to your throne, you kind of like sit out, you know, like the day has been won, you know, you sit down and you see like all the spirits like one by one.
When he slams the sword into the cement or to the stone, he's like holding onto it for support. Yeah. And then his dad's ghost picks it up and stabs him with it.
And then that's when you kind of go to like the ethereal realm.
Right.
See Arden. I think you're in the crystal.
In the crystal would make sense. I don't think they explain it.
And then you and all the spirits kind of finally finish the job. But like, so I don't know. REP hasn't is like his understanding of that is like Arden won hands down, and I think that's true. But I think it's more of like it was a win-win kind of like Noctis got what he wanted. He needed to stop Arden, which he did, and Arden got what he wanted. He wanted to die, which he did, and he still caused quite the ruckus. You know, the last 10 years before that. I'm interested to see, if they go any further with it with any DLC.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But yeah, I mean, I was like, dude, I was totally blown away. Like the whole ending and like just the game in itself. Like I love the story.
So there's something I want to talk about. I really like the beginning. I like the setup and I like the flow of that and introducing us to the characters and introducing us to sort of how things were going to go. And when you first meet Arden and the mystery behind him. And I really like the end. Chapter 13 or so on where chapter 12 when you get into the tower and you're fighting through and Arden's clearly the bad guy at this point.
I didn't like that part as much.
It wasn't my favorite, but I did like the flow made sense, especially when you kind of understand his centuries of this maniacal, I can't die, all I can do is cause destruction, so he kind of becomes what what the gods forced him to become. I didn't like the middle of the game at all. And I hate to bash a game that I really liked like this, but there's so many unanswered questions of why, like, all these people just start randomly, like, turning against the Empire.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, so Lunafreya's brother, was really, like, a double agent the whole time, I guess? I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand. He was, like, dead and, like,
and then that other chick, can't remember her name now, but the really cool chick that like flies around, she's like a lancer or whatever.
Yeah. Oh.
She just like you don't have to. She's helping us because Arden said, Highwind. Arden tells her to help us, and then you're like, well, you don't have to be bad. You could not fight for the Empire anymore. And she's like, okay, I won't fight for the Empire anymore. Like,
we just got a new update for 100-foot robot golf.
Sure did. So, and that can all be part of, maybe that's all part of Arden's plan.
Yeah.
Is to, mess with your head and, like, put struggles in your path. And we can maybe dive into that, another time. But it's just kind of, like, random, like, you fight her, and then she leads you through this dungeon, and then she's helping you. Like, there's no middle ground.
The only thing I could think of that might be some of, like, that is, I think so. Like, unless you really play through the entire thing, which obviously we did, is like when you start that game, you kind of are under the impression that the Empire is like the bad guy, right? This is like the people that stole the crystal and they want to,
Right.
But really, like the Empire is like really not a big part of the story. It's mostly Arden, and I feel like maybe some of the people that were a part of the Empire that were like, because I mean, the Emperor was listening to Arden. Arden was the chancellor, but that was the dude. I mean, he was like the emperor of like, so he was like pulling all the strings. He was the puppeteer. And I feel like as time went on, like the Empire kind of was a non-entity. Like it was really just Arden's versus you guys. And maybe like people that were once pro-Empire that saw like them going in a direction were like, well, fuck this. Like, this isn't what I signed up for. This Arden guy's insane. And they were like, I'm joining the other guys.
And that makes sense. But that's another one of my complaints. What happened to the Emperor? You see one scene with him,
yeah, dude. Like,
and then he's gone. And like all these people that like I feel like kind of showed up early on, they all just like disappear, and you never like. I feel like it would have been better if Arden was like, I just killed everyone at the Empire. Like, aren't you happy?
Yeah.
And you're not, because you don't actually want death and destruction all over the world. Like, I feel like there were little bits and pieces that they left out that they really could have cleaned up a lot of that with just a couple of, like, Arden's this maniac that his end goal is to make you so mad that you'll do anything to stop him, which it give your own life. And so to Frank's point, I'm going very traditional names today.
Yeah.
Really to Frank's point, he kind of does win because he, that was his goal. His goal was to get you to sacrifice yourself to stop him so he could be at peace. So you lost Lunafreya, you lose your own life, you don't get to be with any of your friends,
like,
your father's dead.
Fucking dies.
Like,
Prompto, Gladio, and Igni had to have died at that last scene. Like, you kind of go off into the castle to fight Arden, and they kind of stand back to, like, defend from all the demons. Like, they're dead. They gotta be dead after that.
Maybe, I don't know.
Well, did you stick around for the after credits scene?
Mm-hmm.
So what was your take on that? It's all all of them sitting at the campfire, kind of the emotional moment, them all talking about how they love each other and, like, they're all there for each other. Like,
that's before we go into the last battle, I think.
You think that's... So I've heard that, and that's what I think, too, and that's what made the most sense. But I've heard... Because I've been curious about some of this stuff, so I've read some of it, other people's theories and stuff. But now some people are saying, like, that's the afterlife. That you died, because obviously you have the big, afterlife sort of viewing of, you and Lunafreya married.
Right, the wedding.
That this was like all of you together, you're all dead because, your guys died sort of protecting you and the castle from all the demons, letting you do your thing with Arden, and then you're all sitting there in a campfire, I just wanted to say. Or the other way I saw it was it's still the afterlife, but this was like the same way the marriage thing that you see was more of a projection of Noctis's sort of version of the afterlife. So it's not really Lunafreya. That's just like what he wants for his paradise, and in that same paradise, he's with all his buddies talking and reminiscing. I kind of like that. I mean, the most sense is that it's just before, they go to the capital.
I'm trying to remember. I kind of thought, I struggled with that too. Like, is this the afterlife? Is this is this the final scene? What was with the whole, like, them on the throne now that they're married? Like, is this, just his dream kind of state as he's, as his life is, fading away? Correct me if I'm wrong, he's young in that scene, that final scene. No beard.
No, he's got beard.
Is he old? Okay.
Yeah, he's the old version.
Yeah, I think that's what made me think it was. It was just like
that dumb fucking goatee.
That
goatee's horrible.
That's what I look like with a beard or with facial hair.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
So
it was good though. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I mean, no real complaints. I wish they cleaned stuff up a little better in the middle, but.
Yeah, I find myself doing a lot of
very
side
minor.
shit in the middle.
It's very
I
minor.
think they kind of take you by the hand a little bit in the beginning and kind of like, in that like starting area. But I found myself mostly like, I remember chapter 3, I think you and I were both stuck on for quite some, not stuck, but stuck on in the sense
just doing
that we were just
side
like
stuff,
doing it to the side quests. So I was out, I was progressing at a much slower rate. And then, like later on in the game, once you kind of get past chapter 10, it starts kind of sort of forcing you down.
Well, it tells you, like, I think it is chapter 10, like, once chapter 10 starts, you can't go back.
Yeah.
Which you can because they give you Umbra, like, in the middle of chapter 12 or whatever.
Right. Which is a cool feature where you can start now, once you beat the game, you can travel to the past.
Yeah.
Like, the 10 years prior, you can go back to the future, the 10 years after. And then,
very cool.
To Altissa, which is still the 10 years before, but it's just another hub area.
Right.
With a Coliseum that our EP didn't even know existed. He's like 100 hours into that fucking game. I'm like, yeah, man, did you ever do the monster arena? And he's like, what? And he never did it.
I haven't been to Altissia yet. Like the past one.
Well, it's the same one that you went to in the story.
Right, but I didn't go explore like during the story. I just
did the missions.
I just went through. Oh no, once the story got going, like chapter 8, like I couldn't stop playing the story.
Oh really?
Like, it was a little slow in chapter 13 in that,
Which chapter is 13? Which one is that?
That's the tower.
Yeah,
and so you're kind of like,
say,
all right. Like, it kind of, chapter 13 drug on. The beginning was really cool with the car and everything.
Yeah.
And
And like the ring was cool. So here's the thing, like you get the
Yeah.
God
It got
damn it.
old.
It's like basically the ring that is like that Luna gets.
One ring to rule them all.
Yeah, she gets it from the gods, right? No, where does she get it?
She gets it from the king.
Or she gets it from the king.
She gets it from King Regis.
Yeah, so it's like the Lucian whatever family
It's
ring.
the Ring of Lucia.
Yeah, Ring of Lucia. And it's so powerful when you're in that dungeon, but then it gets like weak as fuck.
Yeah,
when
and
you
then it's
leave.
worthless.
And it's that super cool move where you just like banish them to another dimension. You just like hold the ring up and like you're fucking Michael Jackson and it's just like you have like this.
But it only works on
you're
demon.
Like, you're like, I banish you. And then like you do it in the dungeon. You're like, this is so cool. And then you go into the real game, like out of that dungeon, you're like, I'll banish you. And they're like, yeah, no. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then they're all still standing there beating the shit out of me. And I'm like, well, fuck this ring then.
It was a really cool like thing you got to do. It was really relevant to the story. But yeah, in the end game, I haven't even put it on. It's
too weak. I
near the end.
It's cool, but
just near the end of that, like it got worthless because you can't do the life drain doesn't do anything, and then otherwise it's just a dodge, and that that like banish ability. But then they all just respawn.
Yeah.
So it kind of it was fun, but it was kind of a little gimmicky in the end.
Yeah.
All right. Let's final thoughts on the setting. Did you like the world? Did you like kind of how they did things?
I mean, it was a strange departure for the series, sort of the open world sort of being very like a lot of desert. I liked I thought like the open world section was just fine. I don't think it blew me away. It wasn't really bad. It was just fine. There's a lot of nothingness in it, a lot too.
I was surprised how small it felt.
Which I don't mind that. I don't mind the size of it because like I don't, for every one of like there's always a Red Dead and a Witcher. It's just the world's just fucking super large.
Too big to explore.
But yeah, like it was kind of empty in a lot of ways, and like I mean there are definitely fun things to find, the cool dungeons, awesome side quests. But it's pretty empty. But like the more story driven stuff I thought was great. Like I love the train sequence, the Leviathan sequence.
Train was a lot of fun.
Ending was awesome. Like all that stuff, I really enjoyed doing the dungeons. So I thought the setting was pretty good. Like I don't think it blew me away, but Altissa was great. Altissa was beautiful. Like the gondola rides was really cool.
Yeah.
The arena was a nice little touch that has nothing to do with the story, but it's just like a fun thing to do.
They did a good job building Altissa up.
Yeah.
And delivering. Like, talking about, man, I wonder what it looks like. It's supposed to be so beautiful. It's supposed to be this great grand city. And how cool is it going to look? And then it was. Like, you got there and you were like, oh, man, like, this city really is gorgeous. Like, this is so cool. Like, the gondola rides and all that stuff. So I was very impressed.
Most of it, one of my problems were it was just weird. Like, so like the military installations, like the 3 big forts were just kind of weird to me. They had like really like weird, like almost like Metal Gear Solid looks kind of to them. They had like sort of like the big fences and just patrols, and I thought the stealth was pretty cool though. Like you can do like the cool like warp strike stealth kills. But yeah, I mean like it wasn't that it was bad or anything. I just like it was just a lot. It was just very different. Like when you expect a Final Fantasy title, you expect the sort of these these sort of like fantastical areas, and you definitely get that in the game. But that open world especially kind of is lacking unless you go into a dungeon But it's weird. It's trying to blend like a more modern, realistic setting with.
I think it depends how you looked at it. I mean, there were a lot. I mean, you kind of got, you got very different areas per like. You got to move around. There was a desert, and then there was, not really forest, but good vegetation, and then you got some kind of mountains, a little more mountainous, and so it felt small, which was good. And my comment on that is good that it didn't feel too big. And fast travel did help because it was a long way to just drive everywhere,
right?
Or even just to fly. Like it definitely takes a bit of time.
Fucking crashing your cars, Jesus.
And so I crashed it once, but it had good flow. Like you felt like it was a continent, not just not just this tiny little space.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't have any complaints really. It was just kind of like some of the locations blew me away. Most of them were just fine.
Nothing major for me. It was good. It looked good.
Characters. I love the characters. The combat, which we're not gonna really get into because we talked about it before, but I think we were both big fans of the combat.
Yeah, they did a really good job. Yeah,
And
If you had to
and
rate
the
it
hidden
on a
dungeon.
10-point scale, what would you rate it?
I don't know. It's definitely a buy, though. I don't know if I could. I don't like to give it a number.
Come on, man. You want to work for IGN? You can't rate a game?
I would say a 9. A 9.
Yeah, a 9. A 9 to a 9.5. It's not a 10. Mostly because of the story discrepancies for me. But, yeah.
Cool.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Good number 9.
So if you guys haven't played it yet, definitely check it out. There's, besides the main game, there are tons of, not tons, but there are like hidden dungeons and hidden areas. There's so much more to the game than first meets the eye, which is what I think is like the biggest disservice what I've seen of like reviews is like people don't even touch on like all the little idiosyncrasies and like little details and like little hidden things that if you just are just blazing through it, you just completely could miss. But some of the side quests are great. The hunts were really cool, and if you never played an MMO, it's kind of a good way to like kind of learn a little bit of the concepts and and how MMOs work, because the side missions especially are very MMO based side quests. Yeah, no, I love it. I would recommend it to anybody. I would say if you haven't bought it by now, buy it. It's great. I will definitely play it again. I bought the season pass, so I'm looking forward to the DLC, and
yeah, there's some cool stuff out.
Cool.
So.
Any final thoughts?
Nope, it's a great game. Go buy it.
Where can they find us if they want to hear more of this great content?
They can find us at checkpointmg.com. That has our Facebook, our Twitter, our merch page, our YouTube, all that good stuff. Has our Patreon link on there, which is patreon.com/cpmg, which also has all our videos as well as YouTube. Lots of information about us, and if you like us, you can support us there.
And also, our EP, 100-Foot Robot Golf, was updated on its PlayStation 4. So,
hey, something
to look forward to. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
See you later.